Good morning, everybody. I hope you're having a good day. I thought today we would walk around and I want to show you guys how I kind of check on my garden every day and what I look for. These usually just early morning walks that I do, but I know that there's a time coming up when I got a lot to do. Actually, it starts today. And so we just start chipping away at it piece by piece. So let's walk around and just see what's going on in the garden, and I'll show you all the little itty bitty things that I look for that really make a difference in your garden from year to year. So this time of year, you got to be real vigilant. I'm usually coming out right now and I'm checking on stuff like this lettuce and just looking to see if it's wanting to bolt. And right now it looks like it's doing pretty good. I think that could change any day now. So we need to really start harvesting this lettuce and making room in these beds. But, you know, we're looking for that and damage, stuff like that. You know, like we see on this Napa cabbage here that we're starting to get some damage. So we need to start looking to see what the culprit is. Oh, we've got some eggs. Do you see that right there? So not real sure what kind of eggs that is, but we're going to take care of them. So we'll just come through and flip over leaves. And what I'm looking for is like a cabbage looper or something like that. I've had a lot of problems with small snails in my garden, so I'm pretty sure that's actually what's causing those, but I could be completely wrong. We're also going to be checking stuff to be harvested. It's like this cabbage right here, another couple days and that's good as gone. That's going to be in the belly. We're also looking for things to harvest, so we'll just walk around. I can see that it's almost time to harvest some more spinach, so we'll be doing that soon. We'll come over here and look at our onions, and in particular what I'm looking for on the onions is to see if they're starting to bulb. And we do see, in fact, that we are starting to bulb here, so now we need to start taking the next action. So the next thing to do for that would be really start cutting down on the fertilizing a lot. Not all of them are bulbing, but some of them are. So we do need to keep an eye on that and just kind of judge. So typically when they start to bulb, we stop fertilizing completely. And we'll do that. And now as I sit here and I talk to you, and I was just talking about snails, I see one all the way over here. Can't see it from here, but over there on that broccoli or that garlic, let's see if I'm right. We in fact have a snail, and this is not even the kind that I'm talking about we usually get. These are a little bigger, and I don't think these do as much damage as these smaller ones that I get, but just this right here will keep it from reproducing, stuff like that. So we can just toss it out somewhere farther away from our garden. I mean, you also have the option of killing it, which if that's what you'd like to do. Sometimes the smaller ones I do have to get rid of. When I say smaller ones, I mean they're like super small. And so we'll get rid of those as needed. But we come through and like we're looking on our potato beds. And remember when I said something a couple videos ago, well, I don't know, maybe 6 videos ago now, about rain and how things grow? Check this out. These bad boys, they're just growing. And so now I'm coming in here and I just look and I see, well, we've just got ants on this one. But I think we could do like a preventative maintenance spray on this with some neem or something like that, just to kind of cut down on the chances of having issues, because, you know, potatoes can be real susceptible. So I'm just looking for damage and stuff like that, anything wilting, just keeping an eye on it, looking to see how it's growing, if anything's changing within the plant structure at all. And I mean, luckily today what I see is just massive growth. So that is good news. And clearly it's not time to harvest yet. We'll know when the potatoes are ready to harvest because they'll start dying back. I'd say we've got about maybe a month and a half before we start even thinking about doing that. But it's just good to keep an eye on it. And so when we newly plant a bed, what we do is like this bed behind me here, we came in and we pulled everything out. And I put all my, not all of them, but most of my squashes in here. And so this is going to be an easier bed to look at because everything is going to be the same within this bed. And I haven't done this typically. I really do like to mix my vegetables within my gardens, but I'm starting to slowly evolve in my thinking to where maybe it's beneficial to have like a squash bed, a tomato bed, a pepper bed, or something like that. I still like to mix my tomatoes and peppers together, but when we do something like this, we know that we're looking for the general same symptoms of disease or pest or something like that, or just growth in general. So I mean, we can see based on when I put them up about 4 days ago, they are actively growing more now, which is good to see. I did plant a couple that had 2 seeds growing in one, just to kind of give them a chance, make sure that there's going to be enough room. I see that we have another ant pile, so what I like to do is if I catch it early enough, I'll start stirring it up and try and get them just to abandon that hill that they're trying to make. And then we're looking for weeds, stuff like that, anything, you know, anything like that, especially in a bed sparse like this. We will start looking for weeds and stuff like that. And I can see that there's some coming through. But when you get them early like this, you know, a couple minutes, and you can just leave them right on top. You know, as long as you get the roots up, they'll be pretty good. This is a good use of my time to make sure that I am having everything planted when I need to be planting, and filling spaces that need to be filled, because really some of these plants you got to do right away, and some of them you have plenty of time, but I like to get a head start and really get before it starts getting real hot and get things growing, so when it gets hot I can manage that whole other issue later on. So like when I come over to this bed, I know that this needs to be planted, and I believe that I'm putting, I want to say is either black-eyed peas or cucumbers on here. So if this trellis is going to have black-eyed peas, then we need to wait about a couple weeks before we plant. It needs to be good and warm. But if it's cucumbers, I have to check my garden plan. Then we can go ahead and plant this as well. And you can see that we've left room back here for that. I'm coming through here and again checking the cabbages. You know, this one's getting close. This one's getting close. We've got some damage here, so we can do again, we can flip leaves and start looking. What I'm thinking I'm going to do with these, because they're all greens, I'm going to come out here this evening and do a BT treatment on it, just to keep down the chance of it being like a cabbage loop or taking hold in the garden and really reproducing. So I can do a couple treatments of that, and then do the neem on the potatoes and stuff like that, just to really solidify the fact that I'm staying on top of my potential pest issues. The same thing over here is I know that these carrots are planted later than these carrots, so I'm on harvest watch right now. So we're continuously checking probably once a week, maybe twice a week, to see if we're getting any size, because we know that we need to plant this area right here, and we're going to put cantaloupes here. So the next bok choy to go will be this one, and then we'll harvest these carrots and put the cantaloupes right here. And all I'm doing for these is I'll come through, and if I see something that's got a pretty decent stem on it, I'll just dig down. I did throw this pile of dirt down, which I don't know if that was a good idea, but I needed to fill in this area. So I'm just kind of waiting, but like, see right here, I can see that carrot's not quite big enough. Just based on like a 3-second look, I can tell that, like, you know what, I need to wait on those carrots a little bit. It might take a little bit more time, and then I can move on to the next thing. I know that the cabbage in this pot is almost ready to harvest, so I know that I'm going to be putting probably an eggplant in that soon. Coming into the greenhouse, doesn't take but a second. You know, we're seeing big growth on the tomatoes. And then this one, interestingly enough, we see we're having some leaf curl. So we're gonna need to keep an eye on that. I'm not ready to pull it just yet, but we'll keep an eye on it. This was freshly planted, so it may just be going through a little bit of shock. One thing I do know is we had a storm, and you can see the shade cloth got moved back, and based on where it hits, it may be getting a little bit too much heat from this section, so I just need to fix the shade cloth, and that may in fact correct this situation. We're coming in, we're seeing that our zucchinis are doing well, and actually I've got a broken pair of skizzers here, but I do know that when I planted these, I was going to wait and see if there was a weak one, and I don't see one, so I'm just going to cut, and I'll come out, and you know, that'll just be like a quick cut, If I didn't have broken scissors, it'd work better, but you know. Cut. And so now, just like that, we're done. Well, it's not insane amount of work, but you know, just those little things help ease the mind a little bit. If we come over here to the cattle panel, I put in another tomato over here. So remember I was saying in a previous video, I wanted to put the back tomato in first, wait a little bit, and then put the front tomato on so they could have equal opportunity to get sunlight. And we do have that. Everything looks good, except I see that somebody wanted to dig. So we just need to be on top of that, make sure that we're staying on top, and just something like that. Now I know that something's coming up to the garden on this side, and then I can try and figure it out. What does bother me is it did not seem to be affected by this individual right here, so we're gonna have to reevaluate. Our peas are growing, so I know that I need to start harvesting. So we can come out and do a little harvesting on our peas. And when you have stuff like this, that's like daily harvesters when it starts producing. These walks make all the difference in the world, because sometimes you'll come out, especially when they just start producing, and you won't have crazy amounts of stuff to harvest. And the typical thought is like, oh, I'll wait until I get a lot to harvest. But just coming out and harvesting a handful at a time will really keep the plant active and productive and keep it growing more and more, flowering more and more, so we can get as much as we can out of our efforts. Also able to take this second to look and say like, hey, what's coming up to be picked on these pea plants? Because I know that once I get the flat pot, I got a couple days to go before I actually need to keep going. So when I come over to the wild garden, this is where a lot of the work's gonna be taking place soon. And it's kind of, it stresses me a little bit, but I'm cool. I'm good. Don't y'all worry, I'm good. So like this bed right here really needs to be planted. It's gonna be peppers and herbs. These carrots have been growing all winter, so it's the same thing. All of them have been growing about the equal amount of time. So we're just gonna keep checking constantly and just looking to see if we have any big stems or anything popping up. This one looks like it's fairly big, but the carrot itself is not, so we'll keep waiting. The problem I'm having with this is these beds need to be tilled before they're replanted. So I can come in here and till the back row and then till this half, but then I have to bury the line. So I really need these carrots to all get out at the same time. And the same back here. The broccoli is bolting, so it's done. Totally done. So, I mean, I might eat this for lunch today, just like a raw broccoli. But, you know, I can pull all of this lettuce out today, and we'll probably end up tilling this and getting ready to put the corn in next couple days. I even see here that something has been digging as well, so we need to be careful. And I see that it kind of got close to the hose, so I just want to check that. And we'll do a test before we actually bury it to make sure everything is inflating correctly and watering like it's supposed to. So I planted this bed 2 weeks ago, and then it got cold. We hit 37 and we were supposed to get like 45 or 50 or something like that. Weatherman was wrong. So I've got this tarp laying out here. I've left it out here just in case. I didn't want to go too crazy planting anything else. And plus a lot of the beds are tied up. So just keeping that in mind. But you know, again, we're checking here and I see something that needs to be done here. So this is our smaller tomato and pepper bed. And I can see that like these tomato plants, they've really started to grow a lot. So we can start taking these bottom limbs off right here that are gonna touch the ground and really eliminate a lot of the disease issues. And even come out here and clean up the bottoms of these pepper plants as well, where the leaves are touching the ground, and that will help alleviate any situation you can have occur. And I even come out and look and say like, oh, okay, my son's potato bed is doing very well, which he's happy about, so that's good. And I don't see any issues. For the record, I've stated that my son is growing his potato bed. He helps me work on it when it's time to work. I don't make him do it all on his own. But what I won't be doing is having him spray anything on it or anything like that. He doesn't need to worry about that yet. But what I do want him to do is be able to recognize that there is an issue. And so we don't see an issue, so we're good to go. Same with the pots here. And a lot of times with the pots, it's the same situation, but we're checking to see if we need to water at all. And so I just barely scratch the surface and it's pretty damp. So we might go a day or two. We're not supposed to get any rain. So we'll go a day or two. And also, you see how this is just laying on the ground. Look at that. That's just begging for disease. So we'll clean these 2 branches up, and same going all the way down the line here. So in the time frame that I did this video, I did an entire walkthrough of my main garden, and the time it took me in this video was longer than it would take me normally because I'm talking my way through it with you guys. Otherwise, it's, you know, a 5-minute ordeal. Do it every morning. I check on it. If I don't, you know, if everything is going really good, I might miss a couple mornings or something. I'm usually checking on it every day. But at least, even if I had to go like to an office job or something, I'd check in the morning, and then I know when I get home in the afternoon, that's what I need to work on. So like I don't spray any treatments or anything like that until dusk, which is at the end of the day. So I know that I need to come back this afternoon, spray my BT, make me a neem oil mixture, and make all these adjustments and changes out here, and then just kind of keep it fluid and really just keep the garden growing. And now I know, because this week is going to be a lot going on for the next couple weeks, so make sure you're tuned in and you subscribe and like and all that good stuff, because we're going to be doing all this planting. I'm probably going to clean out the back bed today, and I may just go ahead and plant the corn because I want to give it as much time as possible. One of those 2 wild garden beds are going to get planted. I'm not sure which one, but it kind of is what it is. We'll go through it and see. We want to maximize this time of year, and before it gets too hot, I really want to get things up and growing so they can be healthy, have big roots, so they don't die in the heat and they don't suffer from anything. Goodbye.